You are standing in the kitchen at 5:47 in the morning, and your daughter's inhaler is empty. The pharmacy opens at 7. You have $11 in your checking account. Your next paycheck lands in 4 days. The math does not work. It has not worked in 9 months. You put on the uniform anyway. Badge number 4419. 14 years on the force. You drive a 2011 Dodge Charger with 187,000 miles on it, and a transmission that slips when you accelerate past 50. Your salary is $52,600 a year before taxes. After taxes, after the garnishment from the divorce, after health insurance that still does not cover your daughter's specialist visits, you take home $2,814 a month. Your rent is $1,350. Your car payment is $289. You do the subtraction every single morning. The number at the bottom is always red. You pull into the precinct lot at 6:22. You sit in the car for 3 minutes. You are not thinking about anything. You are not preparing yourself. You are just sitting because the car is quiet and the precinct is not. Your partner, Dominguez, is already at his desk. He has been on the force for 19 years. He drives a new F-150. His wife does not work. His kids go to Catholic school. Tuition is $8,200 per child per year. He has 3 children. You have done this math too. The numbers do not add up on his salary either. But Dominguez never looks tired. Dominguez always has cash. Today is the day he explains why. It starts with a traffic stop. Routine. A black Escalade with tinted windows rolls through a stop sign on Carver Avenue at 2:15 in the afternoon. Dominguez is driving. He pulls the vehicle over. You approach the passenger side. The driver is a man in his 30s, clean-shaved, plain white t-shirt, no visible tattoos. He is calm. Too calm. His hands are at 10 and 2. He does not reach for a registration. He does not say a word. He waits. Dominguez walks up to the driver's window and taps twice with his knuckle, not the way he taps on other windows. 2 deliberate knocks. A rhythm. The driver nods. Dominguez says, "Have a good day." He turns around and walks back to the cruiser. You stand there for 4 seconds, watching the Escalade pull away. The plate number burns into your memory. You get back in the car. You ask what that was. Dominguez does not look at you. He says, "That was nothing." You ask again. He says, "That was you minding your business." 3 days later, your daughter has an asthma attack at school. The nurse calls you at 1:09 in the afternoon. You leave your shift. You pick her up. Her lips are slightly blue. You drive to urgent care. The copay is $75. You pay with a credit card that is $340 from its limit. The doctor prescribes a new controller medication, fluticasone. The pharmacy quotes you $187 without insurance approval. You stand at the counter and stare at the white bag. You do not have $187. You tell the pharmacist you will come back. That night, you sit on the porch. Your phone buzzes. It is Dominguez. He asks if your kid is okay. You tell him about the medication. He is quiet for a moment. Then he says, "Come by the house tomorrow morning." Before shift, you go to his house at 5:30 a.m. His kitchen is clean. His refrigerator is full. He pours you coffee in a mug that says, "World's Best Dad." He sits across from you and slides an envelope across the table. Inside is $500. Cash, 20s and 10s. You look at him. He says, "That is not a loan." You ask what it is. He says, "It is the beginning." He lays it out in plain, mechanical language. There is a network. It has existed for over a decade. It involves 11 officers across 3 precincts. The operation is simple. Certain vehicles pass through certain corridors at certain times. They carry product, cocaine mostly, sometimes fentanyl precursors, sometimes cash moving in the opposite direction. The officer's job is to not see these vehicles. That is it. You do not touch the product. You do not meet the suppliers. You do not ask questions. You receive a route schedule every Monday via a burner phone. You cross-reference the schedule with your patrol. If a vehicle on the list enters your sector during your shift, you look the other way. If another unit attempts to pull one over, you call it off. You say you will handle it. For this, you receive $2,200 a month, cash, untraceable. You do the math in the car on the way home. $2,200 plus your salary is $5,014 a month. The number at the bottom is black for the first time in 3 years. You pick up the medication that afternoon. The first month is easy. Disturbingly easy. The burner phone buzzes on Monday at 4 a.m. A list of 3 license plates, times, intersections. You memorize them. You delete the message. On Wednesday, one of the plates rolls through your sector at 3:42 p.m. A white Toyota Camry, nothing notable about it. You let it pass. You type a false traffic log for that block, noting no activity. The whole interaction takes less than 12 seconds of your actual attention. The rest of your shift is normal. You respond to a domestic call. You write up a fender bender on Maple. You buy a sandwich from the gas station on 5th. At the end of the month, Dominguez hands you an envelope in the precinct parking lot at shift change. $2,200. You put it in your glove box. You drive to Target. You buy your daughter new shoes. Size 4, pink with white laces. She puts them on in the store and does not want to take them off. That night, you eat dinner at the table for the first time in weeks. Chicken, rice, green beans from a can. Your daughter talks about a girl at school who has a hamster. She wants a hamster. You say maybe. It is the first time in months you have said maybe instead of no. The second month, the list grows. 5 plates. One of them is a box truck. You see it pass through the intersection of Carver and 11th at 1:15 a.m. during a night shift. It is moving slowly. You are parked half a block away. Your headlights are off. The truck passes. You count to 60. You pull out and drive in the opposite direction. You log a parking violation on a side street 3 blocks east. The gap between what you write and what exists is the width of a sentence. Nobody reads these logs anyway. Month 3. You fix the leak in your apartment ceiling. You pay a guy $400 cash. He patches it in 2 hours. You stand in your kitchen and the ceiling is dry for the first time since September. You feel something. It is not pride. It is not relief. It is the absence of dread. That is what the money buys, not happiness. The absence of dread. Month 4 is when the texture changes. You are on a night shift, alone. Dominguez is off. A call comes over the radio. Shots fired. 900 block of Deacon Street. You respond. When you arrive, there are 2 men on the ground. One is dead. Entry wound behind the left ear. Small caliber. The other is alive, bleeding from the abdomen, crawling toward the curb. You call for EMS. You kneel next to the living one. He looks at you. He is young, maybe 22. He grabs your wrist. He says a name you recognize from the Monday list. He says, "They set me up." He says, "Tell Rigo." Then his grip loosens and his eyes go flat, and EMS is still 4 minutes away. You stand up. Your hands are wet. You look at the dead man. You recognize the tattoo on his forearm. You have seen it before. On the arm of a driver you waved through on Carver Avenue 6 weeks ago. These are connected. These people are connected. The product you are letting through is funding this. The corridor you protect is a supply line, and at the end of that supply line, people end up on the pavement on Deacon Street with holes in them. This is not abstract. This is arithmetic. You let the truck pass. The truck delivered the product. The product generated revenue. The revenue funded territory. The territory was disputed. The dispute ended here at your feet with a 22-year-old's blood drying on your knuckles. You wash your hands at the precinct. You wash them twice. You filed a report. Suspected gang-related homicide. No witnesses. No leads. All true. All a lie. You do not quit. You deposit nothing. You spend the cash at grocery stores and pharmacies and the laundromat. You open no new accounts. You buy a prepaid card for gas. You live the way you always lived, except now your daughter has shoes and an inhaler, and you eat dinner at a table. The 2 realities exist in the same body. They do not talk to each other. Month 7. A cop named Fenton from the 14th precinct gets arrested. Internal affairs. He was part of the network, not your cell. A different one. Same structure. Fenton made a mistake. He deposited $6,000 in a single cash deposit. The bank flagged it. Suspicious activity report. The feds pulled his financials. They found the pattern. Fenton had been in the network for 4 years. He is facing 12 to 15 federal. He has a wife, 2 kids. The youngest is 7. Dominguez tells you about Fenton the same afternoon in the parking lot. He is not panicked. He is clinical. He says Fenton got greedy and got lazy. He says the system is designed so that if one node falls, the others are insulated. He says you are safe. Then he says something else. He says Fenton will not talk. You ask how he knows. Dominguez looks at you for a long time. He says, because Fenton knows what happens to people who talk. Not to them, to their families. You understand the sentence. You understand it completely. And in that moment, you understand your position with total clarity. You are not a partner. You are not a colleague. You are not trusted or respected. You are a function. A node, a piece of the corridor that product moves through. If you malfunction, you are replaced. If you become a liability, you are removed. The $2,200 is not a payment. It is a leash, and the leash has been around your neck since the first envelope. Month 9. The call comes. Not from Dominguez. From a voice you do not recognize on the burner. The voice says there is a situation. A federal informant is operating in your sector. The informant drives a gray Honda Civic. The voice gives you a plate number. The voice says the informant needs to be pulled over, detained, held for 40 minutes. During those 40 minutes, the informant's residence will be visited. The voice does not say by whom. The voice does not say what will happen at the residence. The voice says this will happen Thursday. You will receive confirmation. You understand what this means. You are being asked to create a window, a 40-minute window in which someone will enter a person's home and do something to that person's family. You are not the hand. You are the door being held open. You have 48 hours. You do not sleep. You sit in your kitchen and stare at the wall. Your daughter is asleep in the next room. She is breathing fine. The fluticasone is working. The shoes still fit. The ceiling is dry. The refrigerator is full. You built this with the money. Every meal, every prescription, every pair of shoes is made of the same material as the bullet behind the ear on Deacon Street. You have been building your daughter's life out of blood and calling it survival. Thursday comes. You put on the uniform. Badge 4419. You drive to your sector. At 2:10 p.m., you see the gray Honda Civic. It is parked outside a laundromat on 7th. You sit in your cruiser for 11 minutes. You watch the driver go inside. He is carrying a bag of clothes. He is a man in his 40s. He is doing laundry. You pick up the burner. You call the number. You say, "I have eyes on the vehicle." Then you say, "I am not doing this." The line is silent for 6 seconds. The voice says, "That is not an option." You say, "It is today." You end the call. You remove the SIM card. You snap it. You drive to the laundromat. You walk inside. You find the man. You tell him your name, your badge number, and you say, "You need to leave this area, and you need to leave now, and you need to call your handler." The man stares at you. He does not move for a long time. Then he picks up his bag and walks out. You drive home. You pick up your daughter from school. You make dinner. Pasta with butter. She tells you about the hamster again. You say, "We will get one this weekend." She smiles. You smile back. At 11 p.m., you are sitting in the dark. Your service weapon is on the table. Your phone, your real phone, is beside it. You are thinking about Fenton, about what happens to families, about the fact that you just drew a line through the corridor and the corridor does not tolerate interruptions. You are thinking about the fact that you cannot go to internal affairs because you are guilty. You cannot go to the feds because you are guilty. You cannot run because you have a daughter in the 4th grade who needs an inhaler and new shoes every 6 months. You are free, technically. You made a moral choice. You saved a man's family. And now you sit in the dark with a gun on the table, and no move left that does not end in a cage or a casket. The ceiling is dry. The refrigerator is full. Your daughter is breathing, and you are the most trapped human being in this city. The thing about corruption is that nobody tells you the exit is bricked shut before you walk in. You see the door. You see the money. You see your kid's blue lips turning pink again. You walk through, and the door seals behind you with the softest click. You do not hear it, not until you try to turn around. That's a wrap for today. The story you just heard is fiction, but police corruption tied to drug trafficking corridors is entirely real. Right now, somewhere, a cop staring at an overdue bill is being handed an envelope by a partner who drives a truck he cannot afford. If this made you think, drop a comment. Subscribe for more. See you in the next one.